Hold your hand up for a second. Just look at it. Whatever shade it is. Doesn't matter. That color has a story behind it. A wild story. One that involves cancer, pregnancy, ice ages, ancient farmers, and a star 93 million miles away that caused all of this and genuinely does not care. This is the real reason human skin comes in different shades. And I promise, it's nothing like what you think. Here's the thing that blows most people's minds right off the bat. Go back far enough in the human family tree, and I mean all the way back, and every single one of your ancestors had dark skin. Every single one. Didn't matter where in the world they ended up later. Around 300,000 years ago, when our species first showed up in Africa, the entire human population was dark-skinned. No exceptions. Light skin didn't exist yet. It hadn't been invented yet by evolution. So at some point, something changed. Something so powerful, it literally reshaped the appearance of entire populations across multiple continents. So what was it? Okay, first, we got to talk about skin itself, because most people treat skin like it's just packaging, like it's the bag your organs came in. But skin is actually your largest organ, and it's doing like 47 different jobs right now that you never think about. One of the biggest? Blocking UV radiation. The sun is constantly firing invisible energy at Earth, and that energy is not your friend. UV light damages DNA. It causes mutations, and if those mutations pile up over time in the wrong cells, that's cancer. Specifically, melanoma, one of the nastiest kinds. Now here's where skin color comes in. The pigment that makes skin dark is called melanin, and melanin is basically a built-in sunscreen. The more of it you have, the darker your skin, and the better it blocks UV from reaching your DNA. Dark skin in equatorial Africa, where UV radiation is absolutely brutal year-round, wasn't just useful, it was essential. Evolution ran the numbers. Dark skin kept people alive long enough to have kids, so it stayed. Simple, right? Well, not quite, because UV radiation doesn't just attack your skin cells. It also destroys something inside your bloodstream, something tiny, invisible, and critically important, especially if you're pregnant. It's called folate, vitamin B9, and folate is what your body uses to build a baby's brain and spinal cord in the very first weeks of pregnancy, sometimes before the mother even knows she's expecting. If folate gets destroyed by UV, the consequences are devastating. Birth defects, miscarriages, developmental problems. So dark-skinned women in sun-drenched Africa had a massive biological advantage. Their melanin blocked UV. Their folate stayed intact. Their pregnancies succeeded. So now you've got two completely separate reasons: cancer protection and reproductive success, both pointing to the same answer: dark skin. Evolution basically gave it a 5-star rating and moved on. So then why did it change? If dark skin is so good, why do lighter skin populations exist at all? Here's where it gets really interesting. Starting somewhere between 70,000 and 100,000 years ago, groups of humans started drifting out of Africa. Not all at once. It was gradual, generational. One group moves a bit further north. Their kids go a little further. Their grandkids go further still. And slowly, over thousands of years, humans spread into the Middle East, Europe, Asia, and beyond. And as they moved north, everything changed. The sun got weaker. Not literally weaker, but at higher latitudes, sunlight hits Earth at a lower angle, passes through more atmosphere, and loses most of its UV intensity. Add in short winter days, long cloudy seasons, months of near darkness, and suddenly the UV environment is completely different from Africa. And that created a massive problem. Because now your body needs UV, not to block it, but to absorb it, for one specific reason: vitamin D. Here's the thing about vitamin D that most people don't realize. Your skin makes it. When UVB rays hit your skin, they trigger a chemical reaction that produces vitamin D. Your body is literally a solar panel, and vitamin D is not optional. Without it, you can't absorb calcium properly. Without calcium, your bones don't develop correctly. In kids, severe deficiency causes a disease called rickets: bones that soften, legs that bow outward, skulls that flatten. In women, it deforms the pelvis, making childbirth incredibly dangerous, sometimes fatal. Vitamin D deficiency also tanks your immune system, your muscle strength, your heart health. When it runs out, multiple systems start failing at once. Now imagine a dark-skinned person living in Northern Europe 40,000 years ago. Their melanin is incredible at blocking UV, which was perfect in Africa. But up north, with weak, limited sunlight, that same melanin is now blocking the very UV they desperately need to make vitamin D. Their bones weaken. Their kids get sick. Women die in childbirth. The population starts declining. And evolution, that cold, patient, ruthless calculator, started selecting for less melanin. Mutations that lighten skin began appearing randomly, but instead of dying out, they spread, because lighter skin meant more vitamin D, healthier bones, more surviving babies. Generation after generation, slightly lighter, slightly lighter, slightly lighter, until, over thousands of years, northern populations looked completely different from their African ancestors. But here's the twist. Scientists used to assume this happened gradually over hundreds of thousands of years. Ancient DNA blew that theory apart. Early European hunter-gatherers, people who'd already been living in Europe for tens of thousands of years, were still significantly dark-skinned. The most famous example is a guy called Cheddar Man. He lived in Britain about 10,000 years ago. Scientists analyzed his ancient DNA and found he likely had dark skin, dark curly hair, and blue eyes, which looks wild to us today, but back then, that was just a person. The super pale skin we associate with Northern Europeans today, it only spread widely in roughly the last 6,000 to 8,000 years. In the full 300,000-year history of our species, that's basically yesterday. So what happened 6,000 years ago? Farming, the Neolithic Revolution. When humans switched from hunting and gathering to growing crops, their diet collapsed in terms of vitamin D. Hunter-gatherers ate fatty fish, organ meats, shellfish, all packed with vitamin D. Farmers ate mostly grains, wheat, barley, oats. Dietary vitamin D basically dropped off a cliff. Suddenly, people who'd been getting by on a combination of sun and diet were now almost entirely dependent on what their skin could produce from weak northern sunlight. And if their skin was still fairly dark, it wasn't enough. The pressure to lighten intensified dramatically. And farming villages were large and connected, so beneficial mutations spread faster than ever before. The fast-forward button got hit, and within a few thousand years, the skin tone of European populations shifted dramatically. Oh, and one more thing that'll mess with your head. Every single person alive today with blue eyes, all descended from one individual, one person, one mutation, somewhere around the Black Sea, roughly 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. Before that moment, every human on Earth had brown eyes. Then this one genetic change appeared, reduced melanin in the iris, and it spread. Something that feels ancient and fundamental is actually younger than Stonehenge. Here's the big picture. Skin color, this thing that shaped so much of human history, been used to justify so much suffering, is biologically a UV calibration system. It's a dial. Your body's best guess at how much sun protection your ancestors needed based on where they lived. Light skin isn't superior. In equatorial regions, it's genuinely dangerous. More UV, more DNA damage, more cancer. Dark skin isn't primitive. It's the original version, the baseline, the default setting that everything else is a variation of. And lighter skin, that's the newer adaptation, the modification. We built centuries of hierarchy and oppression around a vitamin D problem, around a calcium absorption issue, around folate protection. The most dramatic chapters of human history, driven by a biological dial that evolution was just quietly adjusting the whole time. The sun didn't pick sides, it just shone, and let us sort out the rest.